Hey Nash, what should we make?
Let's put a beef Wellington and a cheeseburger together and make a Wellington cheeseburger.
All right, let's make a beef Wellington cheeseburger. Welcome back to Chaos Kitchen, where we like to invent our own Wellingtons. We've made a bunch of different Wellingtons, and we just made an upgraded version of Gordon Ramsay's famous beef Wellington sauce. But recently I saw someone that made a deconstructed Wellington and then made it into a taco. So it's like all the components of a Wellington, but into a taco. And I thought, yeah, that's interesting. What if we made a beef Wellington cheeseburger? Like a cheeseburger with the cheeseburger components. So it's not just cheeseburger meat in a Wellington, like an actual cheeseburger. Then instead of a bun, we made like we did all the Wellington stuff with the prosciutto and the duxelle and kind of made it into a little flying saucer UFO looking thing. So it was a Hot Pocket, essentially. Hot Pocket cheeseburger, but with all the fancification of a Wellington. So that's the plan for today. And without further ado, let's go. So the first thing we need to do is make our burger patties. Ideally, if you have the means, you want to grind your own burger meat. If you don't know what meat to grind, I would say super basic, just get some chuck or some sirloin. However, if you want to make like a real nice blend, I would do some brisket, some short rib, and some chuck, or some brisket, some short rib, and some sirloin, because each of those bring kind of something different to the table. But look, I'm being realistic here. Most people do not have the means or the energy or the desire to grind their own meat. So you go to the store and you buy some meat, or you happen to have a bunch of ground beef that kind of needs to be cooked, which is where we are today. We have a pound of ground beef here. This is ground chuck. It's 80-20. That's 80-20, 70-30 is gonna be ideal for a burger. The leaner cuts, not so much. My thought here is 2 half-pound patties. I mean, 1 half-pound patty per Wellington cheeseburger, whatever the hell we're calling this thing. So look, when you're making a burger, you want to manipulate the meat as little as possible because you want all the little gaps and the little air pockets between all the little meat noodles or whatever they're called, or meat pebbles, depending on if you grind it yourself. The more you manipulate it, the more you're gonna turn it into like a denser, springy, like a meatball or a meatloaf. That more dense kind of meat. So we don't want our burgers that, because that way, as the fat renders, it has all those little pockets to go. So that's how you get a juicier burger. So anyways, we want to turn these into kind of balls. And then we have 2 half-pound patties. And we have this little burger press. I don't know if it's actually gonna work. It might be too big.
That's what she said.
Nope, I think it'll work. And then we take a little piece of parchment, because it came with the burger press, which is kind of cool. Now you could form these yourself. You don't need a burger press. It's not necessary. It just makes it a little easier. So then throw that over. Make sure and drop some, because that's cool. There we have our 2 patties. And as soon as you're ready to cook your burgers, oh, come on guys, move over here. Don't be camera shy. Then we're gonna go ahead and season them on both sides with a little bit of kosher salt, some pepper. But Tim, the pepper's gonna burn. People have tried it out. It seems that that's a no, but even if it does, I've been doing it this way for years and it's delicious. So maybe I just like the taste of burnt pepper. If you're afraid your pepper's gonna burn, then don't use it. I don't know what to tell you. And a little bit of garlic powder. And then on a screaming hot, flat top, griddle, or cast iron pan, you could cook them on a grill or something if you want. Do whatever you want. But for the best sear, those are my recommendations. Throw in a little bit of oil, or in this case, some Wagyu beef tallow, just because we have this big old tub of it. Whoops, and make sure and just throw some onto your stovetop, because what would this show be if it wasn't messy? And then we put down our patties. And all we're trying to do is get a sear on these, because we're gonna bake them once the Wellington is built. So if you want a medium rare, you gotta cook them super rare. If you want them well done, you gotta cook them to like medium rare. So 1 or 2 levels below where you want them is where we want them right now. So basically we're going for, I don't know, about a minute per side. I want a nice crust, but I want the meat, the middle to still be raw, if that makes sense. That's what we're going for. And you should never press down a burger. I'm just pressing down very gently, just so we get even contact, so we get a nice crust. Don't ever press your burgers down with any pressure, because all you're gonna do is make them dry. All right, let's see what we got here. Perfect. And then we're gonna throw some cheese on each one of these guys. I'm thinking Swiss because it just feels right. And then I'm gonna throw a lid on just so that cheese melts. On a normal burger, I would say, honestly, American cheese is gonna be the best. Unlike your average standard burger. Go ahead and fight me in the comments. But American cheese isn't really cheese. Technically, you're true. It's basically a cheese sauce that has then been turned back into a solid structure and then sliced into slices. But the meltiness is undeniably the best. But in this one, it's a more mature flavor. We're pairing it with a mushroom duxelle. So I just thought Swiss made the most sense. All right, after a minute on that side, we kill the heat. and pull our guys. And then we let these cool while we move on to our duxelle. Duxelle is basically a mushroom paste. It makes up one of the layers of a beef Wellington. So mushrooms are obviously the star ingredient. Right here I have a pound of cremini mushrooms, or baby bellas, because they're just baby portobellos. They're the same thing. I just broke them up a little bit, just rough chop. You could do what we're about to do with a knife if you want, that's fine. But I just find it's easier to do it in a food processor. So that's what we're gonna do. So then we're gonna add a few cloves of garlic peeled and the root end cut off, a couple sprigs of thyme, the leaves removed from the stems. You can see there's a few stems in here, but they're just like tiny little stems. Just make sure you don't have any of the big woody stems. And then the leaves from one sprig of rosemary. Traditionally it's mushrooms and thyme, but then people add all sorts of other stuff in. This is what I like to do, so that's what we're doing. So then we take this over to the food processor. So we toss this mix into our food processor. Whoops, make sure and spill some, because that's cool. Make sure and get everything in there. Toss in anything that fell. And we pop in this little guy. We pop our lid on. Then with everything in there for our duxelle, we just go ahead and get this all processed into a nice, delicious paste. With the pan on medium heat, just give it a little bit of olive oil. And then we add in our duxelle. Get that sort of spread out. And then we're just trying to cook this to increase the flavor, but first and foremost, we want to get rid of all of the moisture. Mushrooms have a ton of moisture in them, so there's a lot of moisture here. So you just want to cook this down. Keep it somewhere between low and medium. And medium should be fine as long as you're paying attention. If you're gonna walk away and do a bunch of stuff and come back, maybe go low. We just cook this down until the moisture's pretty much gone. And we got a nice, delicious mushroom paste that kind of looks like and while your duxelle is cooking away, we want to hit it with a little bit of kosher salt, some fresh cracked pep, a little bit of smoked paprika. We're combining the Wellington seasonings with the burger seasonings. And then here, stick with me. This is gonna be weird, but we have our powdered In-N-Out special sauce that we made for our animal style fried rice. I'll link it below if you wanna know how to do that. We're just gonna put some of that. Basically give it some of that like burger special sauce kind of flavor without adding any extra moisture. And once your moisture is basically gone and you just have a beautiful brown dookie colored mushroom paste, you go ahead and kill the heat and we let this cool. Okay, so the next step, we start with a nice sheet of laid out plastic wrap, and then we get our, according to Gordon Ramsay, it's Parma ham. I'm not really sure what that is. I'm sure someone will let me know in the comments, but prosciutto seems to work just fine. So that's what we're using. Oh, this prosciutto is breaking already. Well, that's fun. Now, this is where things are gonna get not difficult, but just a little weird. Normally, you're dealing with a log or a sort of cylinder of Chateaubriand or beef tenderloin, but we have a disc of burger patty. So instead of laying everything out and then rolling it nicely, we're gonna have to sort of fold and maybe cut and crimp it. Anyways, just letting you know ahead of time, so bear with me. We're gonna figure out how this works best together so that if you decide to make this, you can learn from my mistakes. Kind of like a lot of things we do here. I mess it up so that you don't have to. So we get these guys all laid out with a little bit of overlap. Maybe it won't be perfect, but we're inventing a stupid dish. So perfection is whatever we decide it to be. So then we take our duxelle and we just spread out a nice sort of thin layer, I guess is the word. Duxelle has cooled nicely, which is good. I've tried making a Wellington before without letting the duxelle cool, and it does not work very well. Try to get a nice even layer. So here's our patties. I think this one looks better, so we're gonna use this one. I want the top to be prettier than the bottom. So this is our top, so we're gonna put this guy down. Then I do want cheese on the bottom side too. Now I know this cheese is not melted, but because we're gonna bake it, I'm guessing if we put this on raw, it should melt as we cook it. And then we just go ahead and wrap this guy up like a little present. We're just inventing weird things like we like to do. And then we just sort of take this guy and just wrap him up like that. And then we throw this in the fridge to chill for a half an hour. So while your guy's chilling in the fridge, has been for a little while, and we're ready to do the final few steps of this guy, we lightly flour our surface. Then we take out our sheet of puff pastry, lay it down on that surface. Oh, come on, you can do it. We're gonna cut this into a nice square here, and then we're going to set this guy aside. And then we just want to take an egg wash, and this is literally just beaten eggs, and just put a really thin layer of egg wash on this exposed layer of your puff pastry. Then we take our prosciutto wrapped burger and we find the side that was the top, which we made the bottom, and we're just gonna do the same thing, make that the bottom again. And then we just wrap that guy up like a present all over again. Anywhere where there's a seam, you just want to sort of pinch and fold so it's less so. That's the top of our guy. So that's what we want. We want that to look pretty. So then we want to take our guy, we want to just give him a nice little egg wash, and then we just wrap this guy up. And then you throw this in the fridge for 30 minutes. And then while we're here, we will take this piece. This part is totally optional. So I have this little lattice tool, and literally the only thing I've found that I can use it for is beef Wellingtons or some sort of, or any sort of Wellingtons. So every chance I get, we have to use it. So I'm just gonna press down really hard and roll this out. And then the unfortunate part about this one is it still doesn't seem to cut all the way through, so we still have to use a little paring knife and just do this. And while you're doing this, you want to preheat your oven to 400. No, don't stick. Okay. Set that aside. We take out our dude here, and then we just sort of spread out this like lattice work deal. I want to make it look kind of pretty. We got to do a little doctoring here, but tuck it in because it just needs to look pretty on top. It doesn't really need to go all the way around. We take what's left of our egg wash and we just give the top, including the lattice work, an extra layer of egg wash. And then we just want to throw this guy into the oven at 400 for 15 to 20 minutes until this puff pastry cooks, gets a little puffy, and gets a nice golden brown. And then ideally the meat is cooked to a perfect medium on the inside. If it was a tenderloin, like an actual beef Wellington, I would want it medium rare, but on a burger, medium is fine. So off we go. And here's our guy right out of the oven, looking good. That turned out to be a big ass burger. This took considerably longer to get browned on the outside than I was hoping. I was hoping it'd be done in like 15. It took closer to 30. So I have a feeling our patty might be a little overcooked, but we won't know until we cut this guy open. But for now, we have to let it rest. So we'll be back in a few minutes. And there we have our beef Wellington cheeseburger. All right, let's cut this guy open and see what we got. Oh, shoot. Oh, look at that. We still got the medium rare. Well, dang. Look at that. And cheese melted on both sides. Looking good. Looking good. We definitely jumped the gun on cutting that guy. Should have let it rest for another like 5 or 10 minutes, but it's all right. It looks good. And some people are probably like, it's raw, it's raw. Well, then cook it longer. Cook it well done if you don't like it like that. It's your prerogative. And we just give it a little bit of our upgraded Gordon Ramsay's famous Wellington sauce that we just made. I'll put a link to that video below, and boom. And it's time for a bite. Cheers. I mean, it's totally absurd, but it's really good. The burger's ultra juicy. It's cooked to perfect, like medium rare. That puff pastry has a nice crispy exterior and a nice, flaky interior. The duxelle brings that normal duxelle richness and flavor, but some of those seasonings we add also give it a little bit of that burger flavor. And I think the Swiss cheese plays perfectly with everything. It's kind of real juicy, so I didn't know if it'd be like a fork and knife proposition or if you could actually eat it like a burger, but as long as you let it rest, it holds up and you can eat it like a burger. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with myself. Out of 10. And hey, that's what I think. But let's see what Nash thinks. Hey, bud, how you doing?
I'm good, man. When I was telling people aliens are real, they said I was crazy. But now that multiple presidents are talking about it, I don't seem so crazy anymore.
Well, check it out. We made this beef Wellington cheeseburger. And of course, we made a dog-friendly version just for you. Well, here you go. What do you think?
Oh, wow. That's amazing. It's fancy, impressive, and a little bougie, but juicy, beefy, cheesy, and packed with flavor at the same time.
Anything you want to say to your fans?
I think it's important to fail. Failure's not fun. I'm not that perverse. I grew up in a world that said failure is the end of the road. It's not. It's a step along the road.
Nash approves, I approve. The beef Wellington cheeseburger does work. You can make it, and it's not that ridiculous. Now that I've done it, thought it was early on, but no, it actually works, and it makes sense. It's like a fancy, fancy cheeseburger. You could serve this at a restaurant. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you all. Love you all. If you wouldn't mind taking a second, go like, share, subscribe, hype, hit the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. If there's anything you want me to make, you want me and Nash to taste, go ahead and drop that down in the comments. And hey, if you like this video, go check out some of our other fusion videos over here. And just remember, cook more, eat better, embrace the chaos. That's it for now, folks. Until next time, be good and peace.